What it is, yo, what's up? We back on some Mecha Break, and you know what? I ain't gonna waste no time. If you don't know who I am Corrosive. Let's not waste any time, let's sortie. And you know, thinking of topics to talk about while I show you guys my gameplay and my experience throughout this game. Game's still great, can't lie to you. Uh, I was recently watching some content with some other bigger streamers, Shroud versus XQC, right? And honestly, I only watched part 3. I'm gonna go back and watch part 1 and 2. But from what I mainly saw was like they were talking about how to make comebacks, right? Well, hopefully this will help, but I believe Serenith has a better opportunity to make comebacks because of what she can do. I remember off of the gameplay I saw and what they were talking about, they're really trying to figure out how to attack objectives and, you know, who to send, right? And I really do feel like team comp matters in this conversation, right? For instance, if you have like a decent Panther and like say 2 supports, I think you should go a 3-3, 3 defend, 3 attack, because the Panther can push people off payload. If you have say a Serenith with the Panther, you can constantly harass people off the payload. And you have like say a Sky Raider as kind of like cleanup, because Panther might get jumped. It might be hard for Serenith to peel or your support to peel, so you have like that backup to help kind of clean up stray kills and stuff like that. When it comes to defense, I've already kind of said my opinion on how it should go. It should always, in my mind, it should always be like one tank, one defense, one tank, one damage dealer of some kind, or it could be one tank, one healer if your guys are going 2-4, like 2 defense, 2 attack. In some instances you can go, it could be reversed where you go 4 defense and 2 harass, but if you go 2 harass, I really do, if it's like a Narukami and like say another like flying type, because they can be pretty elusive and irritating, I feel like those 2 could make a powerful harass team to where they can kind of force your opposition off their payload and kind of make them kind of scramble to stop the harass, right? That being said, right, that's for the payload one in particular, right? In this one, I feel like the same rules do apply, though you have to play it kind of by ear, in my opinion, because when you have 3 objectives, in my opinion, the best you can do and consistently defend is having 2. So say, so it's like a 6v6, right? You have your whole team secure the A payload, right? And then you have 2 double back to get like B or C, whichever one you guys want to go and defend for, right? And then from that, you just make a defensive line from A to C or A to B, right? And when you get a clear wipe, that's when you have the opportunity to get all 3, and from there it's just suppressing respawns at that point, in my mind, right? More things that watching that content alone made me want to do is rank more. So I will be trying to show you guys more of my rank journey, so you guys can see a little bit more higher level and how that's played. And in my opinion, in ranked anyway, in higher level play, it does, like, stalling for time when you have objectives and knowing when to pursue the objective, I think is very, very crucial. If you're paying attention to the gameplay I'm going to show you guys, right? I'm going to only show you guys my first 4 games of the day, right? Just paying attention to that, you guys are going to notice like harassing, how much time I can just so how much time I can actually get for my team when I harass, and those moments where it's like, okay, it's crunch time. When keeping it on the topic of crunch time for a second, right? When it comes to the payload one, I feel like the best time to have a comeback, right, is on the 3rd big push, when they give you that boost. If you're behind, if you guys really lock it in and wipe the team and get that 3rd push, you can catch up and get ahead, and then you apply the 3-3 or 2-4 strategy that I brought up before. It's just, again, these strategies, keep in mind, are based off of communication, right? I feel like when I get comebacks playing in solo lobbies, it's very rare. But since I play Serenith, I see that the games tend to go that way because the startup is so slow. But as soon as it hits mid game, mid to late, I feel like that's when like everything starts clicking, and that's where you'll see the comeback happen. As you guys see in this game, the reason why I wanted to show this game, originally I wasn't going to show it, the reason why I wanted to show you guys this game is this is a comeback game. I was playing it, right, and I was thinking, damn, this is a tough first game, you know what I mean? Like, the enemy team's really playing to their strengths, right? Very hard to kill, being very irritating in the strategies that they're implying, whether they mean to or not, you know? And you know, it's hard. I feel like my team is losing, and like, what could I do but what I can, right? And so I decided to, you know what, lace up and, you know, try to be more, you know, and that's kind of what I like with Serenith, and why I want to main Serenith more than Narukami, is because I can get in their face. I can kind of play this kind of harass, very irritating. As you guys can see, the hijack tech with Serenith is very strong. I love walking the dog, to say the least, right? And it really does come in handy for a clutch situation, right? Especially when it comes to defense and harass. That's why I think in comp, Serenith can be very useful. But every mech in this game has their own uses, right? But the reason why I like Serenith in particular, right, is because she can harass the tanks, or he or it can harass the tanks very well, right? All it costs from the Serenith player is a little bit of gumption, a little bit of mental durability, right? Because again, Serenith does not have a lot of offensive capability. To get the tether, you have to get in their face, you know what I mean? And you really don't have to get the tether until you're done with all your harass abilities, giving your nuke time to charge, giving yourself time to relax off of holding the charge button for so long, because that is a big part of their next game plan. And again, if the devs do listen to my video, if they do ever see my video, I do genuinely think giving Serenith more offensive capability, it doesn't have to be too egregious, just making the striker capable of fighting 1v1s a little bit better, could scream success for this striker in particular. I don't think Serenith is bad by any stretch of the means. I think Serenith is actually very strong when it comes to the supports. Like, for a non-healing support, Serenith does its job well. But in my mind, if Serenith could do more damage, it could do its job a little bit better. Especially when, again, in these situations where you're kind of running for your life and you're trying to figure out where your teammates are and stuff like that. Having Serenith be kind of like, you need your team to survive, you need your team to be cohesive, makes sense. But at the same time, when it's survival, I feel like, you know, you should be able to at least be able to pull off something on your own, right? Instead of it being this kind of, like, I gotta stall out and hope for the best kind of thing, you know what I mean? Sometimes it pays off, and those times only occur when a teammate sees me struggling and they come to bail me out, right? And I think for most mobile suits, most strikers, that is a non-issue. They don't have to worry about that. They don't have to think about that. Some supports do, but the main supports I'm thinking of, like Pinaka, and I think there's one more that I'm thinking about. I think Pinaka's the medium support. The light support is the one that I'm trying to think about, but I can't remember the name. I don't play the mobile suit. But they have stall out with the shields and the healing. It can be pretty challenging for the opposition to kill, you know what I mean? So hold on, guys. But yeah, like, they just have better stall out, and they have better recovery from the stall out, right? I feel like with Serenith, if you're not, like, you can stall out, don't get me wrong, and it can be very easy or not as challenging to stall out, right? But it's like the recovery after, especially not being a non-healing support, it's just just a challenge to really be able to re-engage after, like, say 2 people are on you and they get off of you for whatever reason, but they leave you at like really frail, really low HP, right? How you can lean on the guerrilla tactics in that instance, but again, all it takes is for them to sneeze on you and you die, right? And if it's in clutch moments, you know, it's just, you don't want to die, obviously, because, you know, you're trying to help your team out as best you can, as much as you can, right? But yeah, that's all from my experience. Again, I'm a light pilot. That's what I like to do. That's what I do. So yeah, hopefully I try the light brawler next. That's probably the next mobile suit I will try. That's the only light brawler, the light mobile suit I haven't tried yet. But yeah, man, just in general, this game was kind of frustrating in my opinion. I felt like at the start my team was playing this kind of like a PvP match. This is, you guys are gonna see why I like the nuke that Serenith has, right? It really can push people off of the objective, right, when utilized correctly. But you see, I'm playing this predominantly by myself. If I had if I had a teammate, any teammate, to really help me push that objective in particular, I feel like it would have been more in my team's favor, right? But you know, I can't control my teammates. You know, I'm not the type of guy to get on the mic and really shout, "Hey, push A, push B." You know what I'm saying? I feel like, especially because I am master rank. By the time of this recording, I believe I made it to master rank 3. And again, I'll show you guys from my master rank onward how that fares, so you guys see like higher level games and how you guys can maybe interpret that information into your own game plans, right? But yeah, like I'm pretty high in 6v6. I feel like this is the hardest game mode in this game, right? And so I just want to get good at the rank for this, because if like, it'll just trickle down to all the easier stuff, all the simpler stuff, right? But again, going back to the gameplay, right, and you know, the main topic of this conversation, I feel like especially when Serenith is trying to take these objectives solo style, again, just having a little bit more damage in some instances can make your life a whole lot easier. You guys see the tether playing a factor here. 1v1s with Serenith could just be so favored for Serenith's side. And you know, I feel like Serenith having kind of like this assassin recon kind of idea behind it, in my opinion, would be great, because again, an assassin recon makes sense, and it still follows that support category. Again, in my last video I brought up Pyke, and again I want to bring up Pyke again, that he is a support, and supports can kill, you know what I mean, and be an asset to the team. With Serenith, again, I don't know if my recon that makes me able to see people through walls, if my teammates get that buff, you know what I mean? So, and from the games I've played, I still don't see that like affect anybody. Like, I don't see anybody playing around it. I don't see it affecting anyone's like game plan, thought process, nothing. I don't see anything like that, you know what I'm saying? So if it's just a thing that only really improves me in general, I like, again, increasing the nuke damage, or maybe making the nuke faster to drop, making the tracking happen throughout the entire process of the attack, not just through the quick click, just to where Serenith feels like she can, or it can handle its own, you know, because again, if you see in these situations, like, again, like, I'm kind of like, me and like the other support are kind of like the only 2 people who understand like this isn't a kill game, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on, you know? Like, again, like it's just frustrating, you know? And I get it, like I'm a support, I shouldn't be able to do too much, but at the same time, like, if the supports are the only ones seeing the big picture, like, I don't know, make the supports a little bit better. That time I got some help from my offensive team and see that, and it was a 2-2. It was 2v2, right? And that 2v2 match, again, Serenith and another attacker, they can harass very well. And if, again, just apply that to your offense during the payload objectives, right? And it will scream success for you guys. In one of my games I get MVP, and you guys will see my win percentage, right? So, you know, take that with a grain of salt, you know what I mean? Like, it may work, but again, there's a margin of error, which you guys will see, right? Again, Serenith is my second striker I played, and it is only improving my win rate. It's not really affecting my win rate. The only time that I've really felt like I've lost a game is when there are 3 supports on the team, and obviously, like, they don't do enough damage to beat like a full defense/damage team comp, right? Which again makes sense, but in my mind, if someone picks Narukami, which is my pocket pick, right? How am I gonna want to switch to something else that I don't know how to pilot? Again, I want to harken back to the Shroud versus XQC match that I saw. They were playing like different mobile suits, right? And I feel like familiarity and comfortability does play a factor in this. Like, don't get me wrong, all-arounders are cool and they are very good in a pocket pick. But if you're versing a team that has a bunch of players that know this one style very well, I think the pocket pick person will just get overwhelmed. Like, you have to have that one good thing you're good at. And don't get me wrong, you can be good at everything, but you're not gonna be able to contend with the person that's like top 5 in that one thing, you know what I'm saying? And say that pocket pick guy is picking a tank, right? Well, the other team has like a master tank or whatever, like he only plays like a tank, you know what I mean, or a medium, and they're now like kind of like fighting for that same position, and the guy who only plays that position is like way better. Well, of course he's way better. That's all he plays, you know what I mean? Like, it's like saying, to better put it into words, it's like me versing a Narukami, and they don't play Narukami, they're just off-rolling Narukami, and I actually play Narukami. I'm gonna know how to counter them and react to them better than what they may experience, depending on how good the player is, right? Again, if that player is like a higher rank than the player that only plays that one style, right? Of course, they potentially are going to be better, right? Because skill is a factor in this game, right? Movement is a factor in this game. That's another thing that I thought was funny, that in the Shroud versus XQC match, is that there was a lot of stationary movement, and in one of the games, the one that I'm thinking of in particular is when I think they were all playing Stego, and I just thought it was so funny because, in my opinion, the best way to deal with Stego is to move. You have to move around. The missiles, the pew-pews, the shield, you know what I mean? The best thing you can do is just avoid all this shit, get around him because he's sluggish, and, you know, make the fat boy work. But you know what I mean? Like, they didn't do that, and there was one point where you saw it was like 0-0, and all the shields got dropped, and it was just aggressive splash damage, and it killed like 7 people in an instant, right? It just shows how important movement is, right? Even though when you run out of movement, when you run out of like that agility, whatever it's called, I feel like I am I'm like cosplaying Fade. I can't move. You know what I mean? And it's funny, right? When it's like a normal game, but when it's ranked, it can be very, very irritating because you care about the points, right? Especially when you get to higher rank, I feel like it takes 2 wins to get points, right? But every loss is a loss, you know what I mean? So there's caveats to this. It can be funny in some situations, very frustrating in others, right? Especially when you're not trying to die. So yeah, I'm just generally surprised. If I'm gonna bring it back to that match again, I'm generally surprised that XQC's team won. But again, they were pushing strats, and they were kind of pushing my kind of play style, where it's like everybody pick one thing and get really good at it, and then we just play a team around, you know, what everybody is really good at, and then, you know, everybody shines in their respective lanes in their respective fields, right? Which is cool. You know, it's cool. Again, I think mastering one specific lane, just, I don't know, it just, I don't know, it's just hard to beat, especially in this game where it's not too challenging to do one thing very well. It's just knowledge, you know what I'm saying, and how to do that one thing really well is key in my opinion, right? Alright, okay, so yeah, you know, like, I don't know, like, watching them play in, like, kind of like what would be in my mind like a mock competitive like series or set, like, it gives me hope for this game to have like an actual competitive series. Now it depends on how much people are like interested in the game to really watch it at a competitive level, but I feel like there's hope for that, you know what I mean? Like, this game isn't as it's easy to learn, but it's not as simple as you think, you know, like, especially what I'm curious on, because, like, again, like, there are counters to everything, right? In this game, and I feel like there is kind of some levels of rock paper scissors to it. Again, just to highlight that a little bit more, I tell you guys how Serenith can kind of harass the tanks off of things and make the fat boys move, which when I was playing Narukami was like the biggest question in my mind. How do I get these guys out of this tank form or out of this turret mode that heals them, gives them an extra shield and all this, that, and the third, and it makes my regular shot do like barely any damage, you know, all that stuff. And I switched to Serenith, and all of a sudden that whole problem that I have is answered immediately, almost, you know. And I just enjoy it. That's why I main her, because, like, again, it answers all my problems that I was having originally. And I feel like with Serenith too, like, Serenith is a striker that can kill, but again, it's really hard to. But I feel like Serenith shouldn't have a hard time killing. I really do think, like, that's the one thing missing in its kit. Like, you see me on the recon, right? I'm trying to stop the sniper, and I should be able to just kill the sniper off the surprise, right? Because again, I do counter, you know what I'm saying? And getting her off of her perch, you know, it's gonna cause a chase scene. If she's running from me forever, I should be able to gun her down in like 2 to 3 shots, 2 to 3 charge shots, when in actuality it's like 4 to 5. You know what I'm saying? And that can be really irritating, especially when I can't use another offensive tool, the charge nuke that I was talking. The charge nuke, that's a very big important factor for Serenith. I can't use that in a chase because, again, it takes a long time to drop, and if they're constantly moving, it's not gonna work. So, you know, again, like, I just think Serenith should be able to kill, at least 1v1 kill. Again, it doesn't have to be egregious, just a little bit easier, because again, I feel like Serenith her style of play is its style of play is very niche, right? A support that doesn't heal, a support that doesn't stun, in my opinion, is just it's very hard to build a team around. You know what I'm saying? But, like, again, I keep bringing it to Pyke because he's, like, literally the best example. Pyke can kill, but he also has a stun factor because, again, someone has to, if, say, Pyke is doing a bad job, someone can support him, someone helps him, or he can help somebody get the other kill with his E, his stun, right? Obviously his Q is kind of like a pseudo stun. It pulls people closer, it slows them for a duration, right? With Serenith, she kind of has that same similar situation with her tether. It's like Pyke Q, but it doesn't pull people in, it stops the aggression. But again, if you're not gonna, a way to make it stronger is by slowing, right? Say the tether slows too for like a duration. You can't access your dashes for like 4 seconds. Okay, then Serenith's time to kill is a little bit better. Maybe you can work it to where it works better with the nuke that Serenith can drop, and then, you know what I'm saying, the time to kill for Serenith increases exponentially. You know what I mean? But yeah, I digress. It all depends on what the devs think, what the devs say. I wish I could really talk to them, but you know, that's only if I get partnered. Maybe I don't really know. If I do get partnered, that's probably when I'll start streaming again. I know I plug my Twitch in the description, but you know, I don't really go live for multitudes of reasons. But you know, yeah, we're on to the next game, guys. Again, that's 3 wins in a row, and these are my first 3 games. Yeah, but going back onto the whole like competitive scene for this game, right? I'm just so curious on what they would name the teams of, like, say, comp pilots. I wonder what the names would be, if they would be like, obviously they're probably already gonna be names off of like already existing teams like Energy, GG, Golden Guardians, or like something, right? A Fnatic or something, I don't know. But you know, I'm curious to see what that scene would be like, how like pro pilots would play these scenarios and stuff like that, what comps would arise and stuff like that, if my 3-3 strat, 2-4 strat would be legitimate or not, you know. I'm just curious, you know. And in my mind there's like 3, I think 3, maybe 2 invisible like mobile suits, Gundams that can go invisible, right? What if like the game has a long enough shelf life to where there are like multiple different mobile suits that can do the same thing? So like you can make a whole like recon comp that's actually viable, a whole like stealth comp, you know what I mean? It's just interesting thoughts. Now that I think about it, technically there are 3 that can go invisible, right? But they go invisible in different ways, right? Again, applying the same effect in different ways can still breathe the same kind of comp. So now that I think about it, I gotta see it now, because the tank that was on my team's objective right now, he can go invisible with the smoke screen, right? You get an Arakami, right, and then the light brawler on the same team, right? And then they can kind of have this kind of aggressive stealth comp kind of idea, right, where the tank pushes in first. They think he's solo, that again, that 3-3 strat, he pushes in, everybody thinks he's solo, right? Then the light brawler pulls up out of nowhere like an assassin, right? They're like, oh my god, this is crazy. They're starting to get jumped. It gets hairy, right? People start walling out, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, beware, here comes the sniper, and Narakami starts cleaning house. It is crazy. And if it's a comeback situation too, I could see everybody erupting, freaking out. Holy shit, what is happening right now? Are we seeing like teamwork out the wazoo? They're gonna come back, and then all of a sudden the fucking ace pilots win. You know what I'm saying? It's like hypey shit, you know what I'm saying? Like I could see it. You know, I could see it. And I could see it like being a real fun thing to watch. Now how the announcers like play up the scenario and, you know, talk about it in a captivating way, obviously we'll sell the scene, right? But you know, will it happen? It all depends on if this game is popular enough and if it gets enough support, right? Like everything nowadays, I feel, needs enough support to thrive. So hopefully this game gets that support. I still believe this game is like beautifully made. Like, again, the only problems I have with this game are hardware issues. My computer is like 6+ years old, so I'm just thankful I can even embark on playing this game when I can play this game, you know what I mean? So like I see zero flaws with this game. Like, I literally do. Like, there's only up from here. Like, this game is just, it's so well made. I can't gush about it enough. Again, the only problem was the pricing on like the skins and the pilots and the fact that you can't customize them, I do think customization is a big thing with this game in particular, and I do believe that customization, everything should be customizable in this game, because again, like expression and maybe even like team expression, it goes is a big thing. You know, I don't want to bring it too much to the anime, but you think of the anime, right? And especially the newer one that is out right now, which name is escaping me right now. But it is a team-based thing. Like there's this like high school girl. She finds like this kind of like, he's his own person, right? But he has his own mobile suit and it's red, and they join up in the teams in these team battles to gain points and earn money and stuff like that. Again, very gamer-esque. It could just be exactly what this game could be in like a competitive scene, right? Except it'd be 6v6. It wouldn't be a 2v2 or yeah, it was a 2v2 in the anime, but here it would be a 6v6, so it'd be more players. You see more, like, again, I would wonder what the team colors would even be, you know what I'm saying? And then you could sell those team colors off, maybe even team custom mechs and stuff like that. And again, you let the players customize their own like skin for their mech, you know what I'm saying? And then you sell that, make that customizable. There are a lot of avenues to make it like interesting, right? And for instance, right, there are some color schemes that aren't in this game that could be like neon colors. Like you guys see how my mobile suit right now has that kind of like light blue like tinge to it, you know. That could be even customizable in and of itself. The nuke color for Serenith can be customizable. This game has so many avenues to go into, but like again, what is possible in the framework of the game is still it's unknown to me, right? But again, a palette swap seems so simple in my mind, but I'm not a game developer. I don't know exactly how hard that is to do, or how hard that is to implement if it wasn't a thought already, you know what I mean? So yeah, but yeah, like this game is great. Like it's like all fun. And when you find, or when you decide to go into ranked, it can be very competitive. Like you will learn like the ins and outs. You really can't face roll, especially at certain ranks, because there are people who do play together. There are people who do play with people that they know and talk to, and in some of my ranked games, I have gotten jumped mercilessly because I've been doing my job too well. And I'm literally thinking of the first ranked game I played today, where I was literally just bombarded with. I was literally jumped, and I couldn't do anything the entire game, but my team still managed to win because I stalled out, and I took 3 people's attention away from the objective, and that is inherently what you want to do in these objective-based games, because if they're not pushing the objective, or if 3 people aren't pushing the objective and they're only focusing on one person and it's not a kill game, then your team is gaining an advantage. And it inherently, because there are more people doing the specific task required to win the game, right? So I didn't mind that too much, but it was frustrating to deal with, because getting jumped by 3 people is not fun. There's no way to survive it. But yeah, guys, I believe that is all she wrote for us today. My name is Corrosive. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you next time. Peace.